for the people who are watching the awfulness on the other side, a lot of them still have the argument or still have the thought in their head that, oh, it isn't as bad as it could have been, or oh, it would have been so much better under Kamala, or oh, there's this we're somehow vindicated still. And I just think there is no reasonable person that can think that. And I thought this was a good highlight of it. I like the debate disputes, and I watched this full debate, but they have it cut up here, so we'll watch the cut up.
Believed her.
That's a lie. No. To be clear, that's a total lie, right? It's people are more concerned right now with culture war stuff than anything having to do with any part of like how the system is supposed to work, what the laws are, and how the economy is supposed to work. Like you included, none of you guys care about any of the actual like governance stuff, because if we start to go issue by issue, it's all just going to come down to like wokeism and whatever that means. So the idea that
and we can if you want, but I think that's totally false.
Well,
no, I have very legitimate concerns. This is what he's saying. So Destiny is saying you don't have legitimate concerns when you say that they're compared to these very real things that we just went over, these constitutional crises, these actual potentially country-ending shit that you're doing. Will we have any sort of real, actual harm that you say you were afraid of on the other side? And he says, oh, well, yeah, we can go down them. Let's hear it.
Wait. I'm curious. Let's try this real quick. Who do you think was better on freedom of speech?
I think she's like a non-entity. I don't really know. I think they've both been pretty terrible.
Okay, can you give me one example that you feel like Biden did that was the equivalent to Donald Trump suing CNN because he didn't like the Kamala Harris interview and suing Seltzer, the pollster in Iowa?
No, they're not going to be equivalent. But
no. I need something of like.
They're not going to be equivalent. They're not going to be anywhere close to each other.
A similar magnitude to that.
What Donald Trump does that's very bad.
No, wait.
Just going to say a bunch of bullshit. Destiny does a good job of cutting through, so I'm going to let him play it. But my goodness, like, it's so frustrating when when you're aware of how much actual bad is happening, to hear these people just pontificate about it.
I don't care what you're going to say right now. I want something that Biden did that's a similar magnitude to what Trump is doing right now with those two lawsuits.
Is attempt to create a Homeland Security department that would administer speech on the internet, which was eventually rejected, was a very bad idea.
You just gave something he didn't do, so he wasn't able to do it.
No,
so he
but
didn't do that. So who cares? I want to be able to fly, and I want to be able to breathe in outer space and go Super Saiyan. What did the Biden admin do in 4 years that is as bad as our freedom of speech as what Trump is doing?
Good on you for pushing for hard answers.
This ridiculous demand is exactly the kind of thing that drives me crazy about the modern left. Because what you're going to do, what you're going to point out is a million areas where Donald Trump acts like a petulant child.
You're going to point out a million areas where he does something bad, and I'm going to point out 2 areas, and then I'm going to say they're all the same, and you're going to say, no, look at all these million things. And you're going to pretend like they're not the same. Yeah, because they're not the fucking same. You're a fucking idiot.
Actions that
stop. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. I'm not going to. This is such a. Please stop doing this. Wait, no. Donald Trump is not a petulant child. He is the president of the United States of America who is engaged right now in like the destruction of our constitutional order. I don't know why you guys mince words so much. Well, he's putting us in an awkward situation. He's a petulant child. No. He's a fully grown adult male. He's the president of the United States of America.
Do you think I voted for him? Is that where you're coming from?
No, I just don't understand all the equivocation and the false equivalencies. I just don't understand. He's a petulant child. Why the equivocation? He's not a petulant child. He's a dictator. He wants to act like a dictator, and he's attacking our freedoms.
Exactly. And that's the thing. This is defense at this point. You can say, oh, I didn't vote for him or I did whatever. If you're saying that Kamala was the same level of bad, if Biden was the same level of bad, you are carrying water for Trump. Even if you didn't vote for him or whatever, you are carrying water for this person. Why? Or if you are, we are allowed to come and ask, okay, why are these anywhere near the same thing? Why do you fear one
or
and
the false
not fear
equivalency?
The other?
Him suing people in media is the same as Title IX protections, making it so that you can't engage in harassment of people on the basis of their gender identity in colleges? Really?
I do actually think that if Democrats were at all interested in this issue, they might actually be more capable of accomplishing these goals. They're just not interested in at all.
If you want to shrink government spending, what you have to do is you have to be brave and you have to take a look at your government programs and you have to make the argument to the American.
I like how they edited this one so Destiny will speak faster. I don't know if they cut out his gaps between his speech.
People, or at
That's
least
hilarious.
to Congress, and say, hey, here are some programs that we have. I understand that they give us maybe these benefits, but I want to reduce spending. Maybe I'll give it back to the American taxpayers in the form of tax cuts, or maybe at least it'll be a reduction in our deficit. That's how you do a real spending cut. Having an illegal organization like Doge come through with a hatchet and just start arbitrarily slashing at government programs that we don't like for some reason without any idea of what's even being cut, that is not a honorable, dignified, or legal way or effective way to actually curb government spending. And that's not the only player in town. That doesn't make any sense.
Come on, Destiny. He just told us that he found another $1 trillion. Like, shut the fuck up.
It would be like a guy running through a hospital where a bunch of kids are dying of cancer with an AK-47 and just children saying the radiation wasn't working, so I thought I'd try this instead. Doge is not a real department even, and they don't have the authority to make the cuts that they're trying to make, and they're lying about making significant cuts to the federal government by saying it's waste, fraud, and abuse, when it's not. It's just shuttering programs they don't like. That's not a real way to close programs. Okay, you've like had a job as a lawyer, right?
Yeah, I've been practicing since 2016.
Okay, I'm at least like decently smart, right?
Seem like a reasonably smart guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that I could audit your billable hours? Like if I were to request from you all of the things that you're billing clients and you were to give me your sheets, do you think I could audit those reasonably?
You specifically?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have some kind of background that would help you do that?
Okay.
I mean,
wait, I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. Because I don't. I have no fucking idea, right?
Thanks for proving the point.
If you show me like call with client 0.5 or whatever, and I'm like, really? Was it a 30-minute call? Do you bill for all of these? I don't know if I like this. And I just start like f***ing with your timesheets. I imagine you're gonna look at me and you might say, Steven, you're a smart guy, but no offense, you have no fucking idea what any of the norms are here. You don't know what we should be billing for fucking anything. If you want to audit my maybe you should actually get with either people that work in law or audit law firms or something like that, because you just have no idea. That's how I feel when it comes to the Doge, Elon Musk auditing stuff. When you say pulling payments from the
because it's the perfect thing, and this guy just can't realize it because his brain is broken.
Treasury, why the fuck would they have any idea what a thing should cost or what USAID should be spending on or what the DoD should be spending? Like, I don't think Elon Musk has any special access or special knowledge in this area. What is as bad as the Patriot Act that the Democrats have done?
Drone strikes under Obama was pretty bad.
Drone strikes?
Jesus Christ. Like, just... the fact that you would
the United
even
States
try
shouldn't engage in drone strikes?
No, I think that when you have an issue with, for example, like U.S. citizens are getting...
Like, what's wrong with your brain where you just can't say, no, there's nothing as bad? This might be similar, but it's nowhere near as bad. Why can't you say that? What's wrong with your brain?
...to get hit, or if there are due process issues that are being decided behind closed doors, that's pretty bad.
Wait, let's look at that in particular then. I'm interested. So if we look at how Obama approached that situation, Obama went to the Office of Legal Counsel. He got an opinion on whether or not he had the authority to do this particular thing. The Office of Legal Counsel says it seems you do have the authority to do this particular thing. Obama did do this drone strike of a U.S. citizen in another country who was accused of working, I think, with a terrorist organization. He carried out the strike. This has not been deemed unconstitutional or illegal by any criminal court, by the Supreme Court. What's our issue with that particular action? And how does that compare to, I don't know if you want to go to the last 6 weeks of Trump, or we can look at like the Eric Adams thing. I would compare it to that easily.
God damn. The Eric Adams thing is absolutely insane. If you follow the Eric Adams one, the fact that the charges are dropped, they're calling it a win because of how they were dropped, blah, 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 all this stuff. It's literally just, it's awful. It's just justice denied.
Not the kind of guy who's going to show up and like defend everything Trump does. So like the Eric Adams thing struck me as super problematic.
What? Like, listen to what you just said.
Super problematic.
Wait, super problematic. You sound like a leftist. Super problematic.
No.
It was an egregious...
His face there, yeah. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say what it actually was? You want me to give away the game? What? Destiny, what do you expect me to tell the truth? What? Let's watch that again. Watch that one.
Listen to what you just said. Wait,
watch his stupid fat fucking face.
Super problematic. You sound like a leftist. Super problematic.
No.
Yeah, it was... What do you want me to say? You want me to tell the truth? Listen to him, fucking.
It was an egregious destruction of the rule of law. It was a quid pro quo offered by our Department of Justice that resulted in the firing or...
Look at the smile. Look at the wry smile. Just
resignation of like
just
10
unbothered
attorneys.
The problem right now is that people on the left, for whatever reason, have gotten backed into a corner where they are either they can't, they won't, or they can't with authenticity project an actual plan for governance. actual priorities.
But they did. Hold on. Can you admit that the 4 years of governance under Biden, in terms of like policy advancement and everything, was infinitely superior to the 4 years prior of Trump?
So much better.
No.
Okay, give me one example of how that's not true.
The OSHA COVID thing was I almost quit my job and joined like a litigation.
This was so stupid. What a dumb response from a lawyer.
Because I was like, that's so flagrantly unconstitutional and problematic that I would need to do something about that.
Wait, that didn't even go through though. It was challenged in the Supreme Court and shot down.
It was absolutely shot down because it was wildly unconstitutional.
Do you see the issue? So then, do you see the issue that we have? I can never win.
This is the second time in this argument where he's done this. He brought up something that didn't happen to compare it to something that Trump is actually doing.
Because you're not in reality, right? I asked you for an example of how the Biden administration governed worse than Trump, and you gave me an example of something that didn't happen.